Welcome to this edition of the 700 Club. This is a special day. We're celebrating. We went on the air October 1, 1961. And, of course, this isn't the first, but we're celebrating that. 56 years of broadcasting.
Does it seem like just yesterday in some ways?
I know. Like that. I'm serious.
Life is a vapor. Yes.
But I'm also commemorating something today, not 56 years, but one day. One day. My granddaughter, Catherine, my daughter Elizabeth's daughter, gave birth to my 11th great-grandchild last night.
Boy or girl?
A girl.
A little girl.
Big girl. 10 pounds of girl.
Whoa.
I mean, whew.
Easy for you to say.
Wow, that child is going to be, you know, something else. But I'm looking forward to it. I have just think 11 and a couple more cooking. So I'll have 13.
It's the Robertson way.
It's exciting. All right.
That is exciting.
Well,
congratulations.
To commemorate this event, we're joined by some of the friends who made this ministry possible, and they're here with me today. Will you all give yourselves a hand? I'm so glad to see you. God bless every one of you. This is a special Council of 100. They're here for a weekend, and we're just delighted to see every one of them. Dear, dear friends from all across the country. But first in the news, after a week, the powerful Hurricane Maria devastated Puerto Rico. People there are still desperate for help.
Well, now President Trump has appointed a 3-star general to head up the U.S. military relief effort. And CBN's Operation Blessing is providing the people of San Juan with light and with hope. And Gary Lane has that story.
These are the latest views of Puerto Rico, a dire humanitarian crisis, but rays of hope are emerging. Much needed U.S. government help is starting to trickle in. The Trump administration was criticized for not acting quicker, but a little-known law known as the Jones Act prohibited foreign flagships from moving relief between U.S. ports. And now that President Trump has waived the law, actually moving food, water, and other supplies is getting to Puerto Rico. But moving them to the worst-hit areas is proving extremely difficult. Many neighborhoods are flooded and roads impassable. And a week after Hurricane Maria hit the island as a Category 4 storm, people are still without electricity, and water is in scarce supply. People are waiting in long lines for gasoline to power their generators and vehicles. Very few gas stations are open. Operation Blessing's David Darg was on the ground in Puerto Rico earlier this week, before the recent flow of government aid started arriving. I talked with Darg, who said the island has been devastated.
It's just one of the worst disasters I've ever seen in terms of the scale. You know, the Haiti earthquake was horrific, the death toll was huge, but it was fairly localized in many respects. Whereas here you have an entire island, and this is a big island. Look at it on a map. This entire island is flattened.
Operation Blessing is working with the only functioning bakery to provide bread for Puerto Ricans. This sign reads, the first 700 families will receive free bread thanks to the help of Operation Blessing of Virginia. And let there be light. Residents of this neighborhood lived in darkness at night for more than a week. No longer. OB has given them solar-powered lights. San Juan Mayor Carmen Yulin Cruz helped distribute the lights and showed people how to operate them. She told this man it provides light for 8 hours.
And all of a sudden you get that spark in people's eyes. You have children smile. The community starts getting noisy again, and people start claiming back their streets. It's not a cube of light. It's a cube of hope.
A blessing in disguise, said Mayor Cruz. One child was excited because she could read again at night. And her neighbors, fellow Americans who received the solar-powered lights, expressed their gratitude. Gary Lane, CBN News.
Well, I want to tell you about Operation Blessing. David Darg was there in Puerto Rico. But listen, here's what they've done so far. We've served 34 counties and cities in Texas and Florida. Operation Blessing has coordinated over 7,000 volunteers so far. We've sent 20 semi-trucks full of emergency food, water, and supplies. And we've given out $159,000 in cash grants to partnering churches. That's just some of the things that Operation Blessing has been doing to helping the people, millions of dollars worth of aid from volunteers. And you can be a part. Here's the address. It's on your screen. It's Operation Blessing, CBN Center, Virginia Beach, Virginia 23466, whatever it is.
63.
63, okay.
Well, just getting stuff to Puerto Rico has got to be half the problem.
Well, you know, that Jones Act, you know, you say, well, what's that? Well, it meant that you couldn't bring a foreign carrier to carry goods from one part of America to another one. So we're waiving, at least the president is waiving the Jones Act, but I think it's taken a while to get it done because a lot of the shipping companies don't want that waived. But it is being waived. But the goods are piling up at the docks in Puerto Rico, but again, the roads were impassable. Yeah. So they're clearing the roads, and so that's a good thing. But remember, Operation Blessing is still in Texas, still in Florida, now in Puerto Rico, all doing what they can to help people. And you can just pick up the telephone and call in. Again, it's 800-700-7000, and you can call and make a difference. So we're here for a special anniversary broadcast, and we're glad to see you all with us. Now, here at home, Congress, the whole Congress met as one man, stood and applauded when Congressman Steve Scalise returned to Capitol Hill. And Congressman Scalise thanked God for his recovery after that tragic shooting. John Jessup has that story.
That's right, Pat. Scalise and 4 others were injured more than 3 months ago when a gunman opened fire on an early morning Republican baseball practice. Scalise, the House Majority Whip, thanked those who helped save his life, including Capitol Hill police officers David Bailey and Crystal Greiner. He also told his colleagues how he saw many answers to prayer that day.
It starts with God. When I was laying out on that ball field, the first thing I did once I was down and I couldn't move anymore is I just started to pray. And I will tell you, it gave me an unbelievable sense of calm, knowing that at that point it was in God's hands. But I prayed for very specific things. And I will tell you, pretty much every one of those prayers was answered. The power of prayer is something that you just cannot underestimate.
Police called his recovery miraculous. Well, extreme Muslim groups are systematically kidnapping young Coptic Christian women in Egypt on an almost daily basis. World Watch Monitor reports Muslim groups pay kidnappers large sums of money, and the women are then forced to marry strict Muslim men. Source told World Watch that the kidnappers are rarely arrested because police don't report it as a kidnapping. They say the girls went missing to cover up the crimes of those they see as their Muslim brothers. Well, a sign of hope exploded in Ukraine recently, even though it remains in the middle of an ongoing bloody conflict with Russia. Thousands fill the streets to worship God and celebrate one of the most important events in history. And our Terry Mewson was there.
Families came one by one, young and old, to the heart of Ukraine for a gathering centuries in the making, thanks to Martin Luther and the Protestant Reformation.
We are gathered here tonight because of the courage and determination of one man 500 years ago to make a difference.
More than 200,000 filled the streets of Kiev to enjoy exhibits, play zones, and musical performances. They also heard from international guest speakers, including CBN's own Terry Mewson.
God is not looking for men and women of power and wealth. He's looking for people who are looking for him. I say to you the same thing I say to my own country, but I speak it to you as Ukrainians. Be the one. Be the one who lives by the book, the one who stands by the truth, the one who honors God.
Inspirational speaker Nick Wojcik brought a special message to Ukraine's youth.
My heart is for the children of Ukraine, the next generation. And I want you, Ukraine, to consider me your brother, your friend, who will come back to Ukraine again and again and again. Because I want to see more hope and love in your country.
Superbook's Gizmo also joined in on the celebration as children heard the gospel in their own language and watched Bible stories come alive on screen. The evening ended with worship, and event organizers say several thousand people gave their lives to Christ. While the Reformation happened 500 years ago, the message is still clear today. Jesus is the answer. Heather Sells, CBN News.
It's amazing to see what's happening in Ukraine.
Terry, what was this about? Is this the anniversary of what? The Reformation?
The Reformation.
How come they celebrate
Well, because it brought Protestantism to their part of the world. Well, it brought Protestantism to the whole world. I mean, so it opened up the Word of God. I mean, Ukrainians are very strong in their faith, and they love God, and they love the Word of God. And it was there were 500,000 people in Maidan Square. It was unbelievable.
500,000 turned out?
Yeah.
To celebrate. Well, I thought that they used to celebrate the origin of Christianity to the Ukraine. I remember when I was there, it was 1,000 years of that. How many, those Ukrainians they've had the gospel for years, haven't they?
They have had the gospel for years, and their faith is, you know, it really, especially today with the conflict that's going on there, they are standing on the promises of God. People are committed to the Word. It was amazing when Nick Wojcik spoke to see the thousands of hands that people raised to commit their lives to Christ. They came as families, you know, it was nighttime, and they brought their children, and they were there throughout the day. Superbook had a tent, and kids were watching the Superbook series all day, so it was quite inspiring. And there were, before Nick came on, there were numerous speakers. There was a pastor there who years ago had been imprisoned for his faith for a long time, lives in the United States now, but he's Ukrainian, and came back for this special celebration.
We have the 700 Club over there, and they recognize you from the 700 Club.
Yeah, I wish I could tell you. Whenever I travel, it's so amazing to me. In the most remote parts of the world, people come up and say, "Tell Pat Robertson thank you. That's how I found Jesus." It's really true. You're going to have a long line in heaven, my friend.
Well, I look forward to it. I'll have plenty of time to sign autographs.
That's right.